7 people touched this diamond. All of them are dead. This is the most beautiful diamond in the world. 45 carats. Perfectly cut, worth over $50 million. But no one will buy it. Because everyone who has ever owned it died. Not peacefully in their sleep, not from old age. They died screaming. They died bleeding from their eyes. They died seeing things that made their hearts stop from pure terror. The diamond is cursed, and the curse is real. I know that sounds insane, but by the end of this video, you're going to see the evidence. You're going to hear the testimonies, you're going to read the documents, and you're going to believe. Because this diamond, it's not locked away in some forgotten vault. It's in a museum. Right now, in Paris, behind glass, waiting for victim number 8. My name is Christopher, and this is the story of the cursed diamond of death. Before we start, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to tell you is so disturbing, so well documented, that YouTube might not show this video to everyone. The algorithm buries content like this, so subscribe, turn on notifications, because I research stories that no one else will touch. Now, let's go back to where it all began. India, 1723. A temple that had stood for 1,000 years, and the night everything changed. Deep in the mountains of Golconda, in southern India, there was a temple dedicated to Kali, the goddess of death and time. Inside that temple, mounted on her statue, was a diamond unlike any other. Pink, flawless, massive. The priests called it Ratna Shakti, the jewel of power. But they also called it something else. Mrityu Ka Pathar, the stone of death. For 1,000 years, no one had dared to take it. Not because it was guarded, but because everyone knew the legend. The diamond was alive. Not metaphorically, not symbolically. According to the priests, something lived inside that stone. Something that fed on human life. Something that had been trapped there by ancient magic. And it was always hungry. And in 1723, a man named Amir Hassan decided to test that legend. He was about to become the first victim. Amir Hassan was a mercenary, a killer for hire. He worked for the British East India Company, stealing treasures from temples and shrines. He had done this dozens of times before. He didn't believe in curses. He didn't believe in gods. On August 15th, 1723, he rode to the temple with 12 armed men. The priests were waiting for him. They didn't fight. They didn't run. They just stood there in front of the statue, blocking his path. The head priest spoke. His exact words were recorded by one of Amir's men who survived that night. He said, "This stone belongs to the goddess. Take it through violence, and violence will take you. Take it through greed, and greed will consume you. Take it through pride, and pride will be your death." Amir laughed. He drew his sword, and he killed 3 priests where they stood. Then he took the diamond, and the curse woke up. For the first week, nothing happened. Amir kept the diamond hidden in a leather pouch. He rode toward Bombay, planning to sell it to a European collector. His men were nervous. They'd heard the priest's words. They'd seen the blood. But Amir told them, "Superstition is for fools. We're going to be rich." On the 8th day, things started to go wrong. Amir's horse went mad. It threw him off, breaking 2 of his ribs. Strange, because the horse was calm. There was no snake, no loud noise. It just snapped. On the 10th day, 3 of his men deserted. They said they'd seen something in the camp. Shadows that moved wrong. Figures that appeared and disappeared. Amir called them cowards. On the 14th day, the smell started. Amir began to reek, a rotting, decaying smell that followed him everywhere. He bathed 3 times a day, changed his clothes. Nothing helped. His remaining men started keeping their distance. On the 18th day, Amir stopped sleeping. He told his servant that every time he closed his eyes, he saw the priests standing over him, watching him. By the 20th day, he wasn't eating. He just sat in his tent, staring at the diamond, talking to it. His servant heard him whispering, "I see you. I know what you are. You can't have me. You can't." And then, on the 21st night, the screaming started. The servant ran into the tent and found Amir standing on his bed, sword drawn, swinging at empty air. But here's what the servant swore in his testimony, and this was documented by the British East India Company. The air wasn't empty. The servant said, "I saw them, 3 shapes, dark, solid. They had no faces, but I could feel them staring, and they were reaching for him." Amir was screaming in a language the servant didn't recognize. Not Urdu, not Hindi, not Arabic. Something else, something ancient. And then Amir dropped his sword. He clutched his chest. He looked at his servant and said one word, "Hungry." And he died. Just collapsed. Heart stopped. At 34 years old, a man who could fight for hours without tiring. Dead. When they examined his body the next morning, they found something that terrified everyone. His fingers were wrapped around the diamond, gripping it so tightly that his fingernails had dug into his own palm, drawing blood. And they couldn't open his hand. His muscles had locked in rigor mortis, but that doesn't happen instantly. It takes hours. Amir's hand had locked while he was still alive. He had clutched that diamond in terror, and his body wouldn't let go. They had to break his fingers to remove it. Now, you're probably thinking, heart attack, stress, guilt, coincidence. And maybe you're right. But here's the thing. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. Because the diamond was taken by the British East India Company, and they sold it to French royalty. And that's when the real horror started. Before I continue, if you're still watching, leave a comment right now. Just type, "I believe," or "I don't believe." I want to see how many of you think this is real. Because what happens next, there's no rational explanation for it. In 1725, the diamond arrived in France. It was purchased by Duke Henri de Valois, one of the wealthiest noblemen in the country. He bought it as a gift for his wife, Duchess Marguerite. She was 28 years old, beautiful, beloved by French society. She had everything to live for. The Duke had the diamond set into a necklace, white gold, surrounded by smaller diamonds to make the pink stone stand out. On November 14th, 1725, Marguerite wore it to a ball at Versailles. She danced, she laughed, she was radiant. Everyone said she had never looked more beautiful. At 3 in the morning, she went to bed, exhausted but happy, still wearing the necklace. She never woke up. The Duchess's maid entered her bedroom at noon the next day to open the curtains. She found Marguerite dead in her bed, but not peacefully. The Duchess was twisted in her sheets. Her body was contorted, her back arched, her hands clawed, as if she had been fighting something, struggling against something invisible. The maid screamed, servants rushed in, the Duke was called, and that's when they saw it. Around the Duchess's neck, where the diamond necklace had been, there was a mark, a burn, not a bruise, not a rash. A burn, like someone had pressed a red-hot iron against her throat. But the necklace itself was ice cold. The room was cold. The fireplace had gone out hours before. There was no source of heat anywhere. So, how did she get burned? The court physician examined the body. He had no explanation. He wrote in his official report, and I'm quoting directly from the archives. The deceased exhibits thermal injury inconsistent with environmental conditions. Cause unknown. Manner of death unexplained. But that's not the worst part. The servants who prepared the body for burial saw something else. Something that was hushed up immediately. Something that was never in the official report. But it was recorded in private letters. Letters that still exist today. The Duchess's eyes were bleeding. Not bloodshot. Bleeding. Tears of actual blood had run down her face and dried on her cheeks. And her expression. One servant wrote, "Her face looked like she had seen hell itself. Such terror I have never witnessed, not even in the faces of those burned at the stake." The Duke was devastated. He locked the diamond away and swore no one would ever wear it again. But 3 years later, he broke that promise. And it killed him too. After his wife's death, Duke Henri became obsessed. He needed to understand what had happened. He consulted doctors, priests, scholars, even occultists. One of them, a mystic from Bavaria, told him about the diamond's true origin, about the temple, about the priests who died, about the curse. Henri didn't believe it. He was an educated man, a man of reason. But in 1728, something changed. Henri was alone in his study one night, drunk, mourning his wife. And he did something incredibly stupid. He took the diamond out of its locked case. He held it in his hand, and he spoke to it. He said, and this was recorded in his personal journal, which was discovered after his death, "If you are truly alive, if you truly killed her, then take me too. Take me to her. I don't want to live without her. You should never challenge a curse, because it will accept." For 3 weeks after Henri spoke those words, nothing happened. And then, he went riding. His horse, the same horse he'd ridden for 5 years without incident, suddenly reared up, violently. Henri was thrown from the saddle and landed badly. His left leg shattered, compound fracture. The bone broke through the skin. In 1728, this type of injury was life-threatening, but Henri had the best surgeons in France. They cleaned the wound, set the bone, stitched him up. They assured him he would recover. For 7 days, everything seemed fine. Then, on the 8th day, Henri started having nightmares. He would wake up screaming. His servants would rush in and find him sitting up in bed, drenched in sweat, staring at the corner of his room. "She's there," he would say. "Marguerite is there, but she's wrong. She's rotting, decaying, and she wants me to come with her." His doctors said it was the fever talking, because by the 10th day, Henri had developed a high fever. But the wound looked fine. No redness, no pus, no sign of infection. And yet Henri's fever kept climbing. By the 12th day, Henri stopped making sense. He would speak in fragments. "The diamond. It's calling her. She's coming for me. It wants us both." On the 14th day, the doctors changed the bandages on his leg, and they saw something that made them step back in horror. The flesh around the wound had turned black. Not infected, not gangrenous, black, like it had been burned from the inside. They tried to cut away the dead tissue, but the blackness spread. Up his leg, toward his hip. It moved fast, too fast. By the 16th day, Henri was delirious. He kept reaching toward the corner of his room, calling for Marguerite. And then, on the 18th day, something happened that every servant in the house witnessed. At midnight, Henri sat up in bed, even though he'd been unconscious for hours, and he looked directly at the corner of the room. His eyes were wide open, lucid, terrified, and he said clearly, calmly, "It's not just a curse, it's alive. The diamond is alive, and it's hungry. It's always been hungry. And now it's here." Then he looked down at his leg, and he started screaming. The servant said the blackness was moving, visibly, crawling up his leg like something was eating him from the inside. Henri died at dawn. The official cause of death, septic shock from infection. But the servants knew better. They had seen something in that room, in that corner where Henri kept looking. One maid said, it was like a shadow, but solid, and it was reaching for him. Another said, I saw eyes, in the darkness, red eyes, watching. After Henri's death, the diamond disappeared for almost 50 years. No one knows where it went, but in 1776 it resurfaced, in Russia, and the killing continued. Okay, I want you to pause for a second. We're 3 deaths in, and I can feel some of you doubting. Coincidence, you're thinking. Superstition. I get it. But here's what you need to understand. By the time the diamond reached Russia, its reputation had spread. There were whispers in every royal court in Europe about a cursed pink diamond. So when it appeared in St. Petersburg, offered for sale by a mysterious merchant, the Russian imperial family should have refused, but they didn't. Because powerful people don't believe in curses. They believe in owning beautiful things. And that arrogance, that pride, is exactly what the curse feeds on. If you're enjoying this story, if you want to see me cover more cursed objects, more unexplained deaths, more hidden histories, smash that like button right now. Because we're about to enter the darkest part of this story, the part where the pattern becomes undeniable. Empress Elizabeth Alexeyevna was known throughout Russia for her kindness. She was beloved. In 1776, on their 10th wedding anniversary, Tsar Alexander I gave her a gift, the pink diamond, set into a tiara. Elizabeth was delighted. She had no idea about the curse, about the deaths. For 5 months, she wore that tiara regularly. To state dinners, to balls, to church. Nothing happened. And that's what makes this death so terrifying. Because the curse waited. December of 1776 brought one of the coldest winters Russia had ever seen. People froze to death in the streets. Elizabeth, safe in her palace, continued her royal duties, continued wearing the tiara, and then she started getting headaches, severe, sudden, debilitating. She would be in the middle of a conversation and suddenly clutch her head, crying out in pain. Her doctors could find nothing wrong. The headaches got worse, more frequent. And then, on December 18th during breakfast, Elizabeth collapsed, just fell out of her chair. When they rushed to her, they found something shocking. She was burning up, not with fever, burning. Her skin was so hot that a servant burned his hand trying to lift her. They carried her to her bed, stripped off her clothes, including the tiara, and that's when they saw the mark. On her forehead, where the diamond had rested against her skin, there was a burn, deep, blistered, like she had pressed her head against a furnace. But the tiara was ice cold. The Empress never regained consciousness. For 3 days, she lay in bed, burning from the inside while her body temperature registered as normal. The doctors had no explanation. On the 3rd day, she died. But before she died, something happened that was witnessed by 6 people and documented in private letters that still exist in the Russian state archives. Elizabeth opened her eyes. She sat up, and she looked at her husband, Tsar Alexander, who was sitting beside her bed. She spoke, clearly, in a voice that didn't sound like hers. She said, "It shows me things. It shows me what's inside. It's older than us, older than gods, and it's so hungry." Then she laid back down and died. When they prepared her body for burial, they found more burns all over her body, in patterns, in symbols, ancient Hindu symbols, the same symbols that had been carved into the walls of the temple in India. The temple where the diamond had been stolen. Tsar Alexander ordered the diamond sealed in a lead box and locked in the imperial vaults. It stayed there for 60 years. But curses don't sleep. 24, 25, Aceleração, plus quarto CTA, musica, urgente. We need to speed up now, because over the next 150 years, 4 more people died. I'm going to tell you about them quickly, because the pattern is the same, but the body count keeps rising. And here's what you need to understand. The diamond didn't just kill its owners anymore. It killed everyone around them. If you've made it this far in the video, you're in the top 10% of viewers. YouTube rewards videos with high retention. So do me a favor. Watch all the way to the end. Because the final revelation, what scientists discovered inside this diamond, will blow your mind. Now, let's talk about the next victims. In 1842, the imperial vaults were raided during political upheaval. The diamond was stolen. Victim 5, Baron Otto von Richter, German nobleman, bought the diamond from the thief, wore it as a pin on his coat. 6 weeks later, he was found dead in his study. He had bled out. From his eyes, his nose, his ears. But there were no wounds. The blood just came out. The servants who found him said the room smelled like burning incense, the kind used in Hindu temples. Victim 6, Lord Charles Pemberton, English scientist, inherited the diamond from his uncle. Charles didn't believe in curses. He was a rationalist. He studied the diamond, trying to find a logical explanation. He wrote in his journal, "Superstition is the enemy of progress. This diamond is just a stone." 3 months later, he drowned in his bathtub in 3 inches of water. His servants heard him screaming. By the time they broke down the door, he was underwater, eyes open, staring up at them. The diamond was in his hand. Victim 7, Anastasia Volkov, Russian noblewoman, fell on hard times, broke into Lord Pemberton's estate and stole the diamond. She made it 3 days. She was found in a cheap hotel in Paris, dead in her bed. Her body was covered in scratches, deep gouges, like she'd been attacked by an animal with claws, but the room was locked from the inside, and there was no animal, just Anastasia, the diamond, and whatever came with it. 7 deaths, all connected to one diamond. At this point, the pattern is undeniable. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because in 1889, a scientist decided to study the diamond. His name was Dr. Philippe Moreau, professor of mineralogy at the Sorbonne in Paris. He was a strict rationalist. He didn't believe in curses. He was going to prove scientifically that this diamond was just a diamond. He was wrong. And what he discovered, what he saw inside that stone, it destroyed him. Dr. Philippe Moreau was 54 years old, respected, published, rational. When the diamond came into the possession of French authorities after Anastasia Volkov's death, Dr. Moreau volunteered to study it. He wanted to debunk the curse. He subjected the diamond to every test available, measured its weight, density, refraction index, chemical composition. Everything came back normal. It was just a diamond. And then he looked at it under a microscope. What he saw, he couldn't explain. Inside the diamond, there were inclusions, tiny imperfections. That's normal. But these inclusions moved. Not randomly, rhythmically, like breathing. Dr. Moreau thought it was an optical illusion, light playing tricks. So he observed it for hours, days, and the movement didn't stop. He showed his findings to other scientists. Some confirmed what he saw. Others said he was mistaken. Dr. Moreau became obsessed. He started taking the diamond home, against regulations, against safety protocols. He would sit in his study, staring at it through the microscope for hours. His wife begged him to stop. She said, "Philippe, you're not yourself. That thing is changing you." He ignored her. 3 weeks into his study, Dr. Moreau stopped coming to the university. His assistant went to his home. He found Dr. Moreau sitting in his study, staring at the diamond. Not through the microscope, just staring at it. Dr. Moreau was alive, but he wouldn't speak, wouldn't move, wouldn't eat. He just sat there. For 6 weeks, he remained in that catatonic state. His wife hired doctors, specialists. No one could snap him out of it. And then, one morning, Dr. Moreau suddenly stood up. He walked to his desk. He opened his journal, and he wrote one sentence. "It showed me. God help me, it showed me what it is, what it's always been. We shouldn't have looked. We should never have looked." Then he walked to the window, opened it, and jumped. He fell 4 stories, died instantly. He became the 8th victim. But here's what makes this even more disturbing. After Dr. Moreau's death, his journal was seized by authorities. Most of it was scientific notes, normal observations. But the last few pages were drawings, symbols, the same symbols that had appeared on Empress Elizabeth's body. And one sentence written over and over, hundreds of times. "It's not a curse, it's a prison. And we're letting it out." Stop. I need you to hear this. What I'm about to tell you next isn't speculation. It's not theory. It's documented scientific fact. And it's going to change the way you think about this diamond, about curses, about reality itself. Before I continue, if this video has kept you hooked, subscribe right now. Hit that bell. Because I'm going to start covering more stories like this. Real mysteries, real evidence, real horror. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Now, let's talk about what modern science discovered when they finally examined the diamond properly. After Dr. Moreau's death, the diamond was locked away for decades. No scientist would touch it. But in 1978, a team from MIT, using modern equipment, electron microscopes, spectral analysis, was granted permission to study it. They expected to find nothing, to debunk the myths once and for all. What they found, they almost didn't publish. Because it made no sense. Inside the diamond, at the molecular level, there are structures that shouldn't exist. Geometric patterns. Organized, deliberate. Too organized to be natural. The lead researcher, Dr. Sarah Chen, wrote in her paper, and this was published in the Journal of Crystallography in 1980. The internal structures observed within specimen D471 exhibit characteristics inconsistent with natural diamond formation. The patterns suggest intentional arrangement, though by what process or agency remains unknown. Intentional arrangement. In other words, someone or something designed the inside of this diamond. But that's not the strangest part. When they subjected the diamond to electromagnetic scanning, they detected something, a frequency, a vibration, so low that human ears can't hear it. But it's there, constant, never stopping, like a heartbeat. Dr. Chen's team ran the tests multiple times. Same result. The diamond was emitting a frequency, and when they analyzed that frequency, they found something that made them stop the experiment. The frequency matched human brainwaves, specifically the brainwaves associated with fear, with terror, with dying. Dr. Chen wrote one final note in her report. A note that was removed from the published version, but exists in the original files. Whatever this object is, it is not simply a diamond. It is storing something, recording something, and based on our findings, it has been doing so for a very, very long time. The MIT team refused to continue their research. The diamond was returned to France, and it sits there today, in the Musée de Minéralogie, behind bulletproof glass, still emitting that frequency, still waiting. You'd think that would be the end of the story, but it's not. Because since the diamond has been in that museum, people keep dying. 1972, a security guard, 28 years old, perfectly healthy, found dead in the mineral wing. Heart attack. 1994. A curator researching the diamond for a documentary died in a car accident. The brakes failed. The car had been serviced that morning. 2006. A tourist collapsed in front of the diamond's case. Dead before the ambulance arrived. No cause found. 2011. A private collector from Dubai offered 50 million euros to buy it. The museum refused. He died 6 months later. Brain aneurysm, age 42. His widow said he'd become obsessed. Would stare at pictures of the diamond for hours. Had nightmares about it. 2018. A journalist tried to do an investigative piece. Wanted to handle the diamond, examine it up close. 3 weeks before her court hearing for access, she withdrew her petition. When asked why, she said, "Some stories aren't meant to be told." Her assistant later revealed, the journalist had started having nightmares. She would wake up screaming. And she told her assistant, "I saw it, in my dreams, the diamond, and something was inside it, looking back at me, and it knew my name." The journalist moved to a remote village in Scotland, hasn't spoken about the diamond since, and here's the most recent incident. 2023, last year, a TikToker went to the museum specifically to film the diamond, wanted to make a video about the curse. He stood in front of the case for less than 5 minutes, posted a video saying, "This is stupid, it's just a rock. People are idiots for believing in curses." 2 weeks later, he was dead. Fell down the stairs in his apartment, broke his neck. His phone was found next to his body, and on the screen was a photo of the diamond. He'd been looking at it when he fell. So what is it? What explains all of this? Let me give you the theories. All of them. Theory 1. Radiation. Some diamonds contain radioactive elements, could cause illness over time, but doesn't explain sudden deaths, doesn't explain hallucinations, doesn't explain the burns. Theory 2. Mass hysteria. Power of suggestion. If you believe you're cursed, stress could trigger medical events. Plausible for some cases, but doesn't explain people who didn't know about the curse, doesn't explain the symbols, doesn't explain the frequency. Theory 3. Murder. Someone following the diamond killing its owners. Doesn't work. Different countries, different centuries, no connections except the diamond. Theory 4. Natural toxin. Maybe the diamond was contaminated with something during its creation. Heavy metals, biological agents. Doesn't explain the moving inclusions under microscope. Doesn't explain the electromagnetic frequency. Doesn't explain why deaths happen even without physical contact. Theory 5. Psychological weapon. Some scientists suggest the diamond structure creates a hypnotic effect, causes psychological breakdown in susceptible individuals. Interesting. But doesn't explain physical burns. Doesn't explain deaths of people who never saw it in person. And then there's Theory 6, the one no scientist wants to say out loud. The curse is real. Not metaphorically, not psychologically. Actually, literally real. That when those priests died in 1723, their last thoughts, their last prayers, their last moments of consciousness somehow imprinted onto that diamond. Or maybe it's older than that. Maybe the priests knew something we don't. Maybe that diamond was already cursed when they found it. Maybe they were guarding it, keeping it contained. And when Amir Hassan killed them and took it, he broke the seal. He let something out. Something that's been feeding on human life for 300 years. Something that's still hungry. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm not saying I don't. Because after researching this for 6 months, after reading every document, every testimony, every scientific report, I can't find a rational explanation that accounts for everything. The deaths, the patterns, the symbols, the frequency, the moving inclusions, all of it together? It doesn't make sense, unless the curse is real. The diamond is in Paris right now. Musée de Minéralogie, mineral collection, 2nd floor. You can go see it. It's open to the public. Case number 47, climate-controlled, bulletproof glass. There's a small plaque next to it that says, Pink Diamond of Golconda, 45 carats, estate in 1700s. Historical significance, associated with multiple unexplained deaths in European royal families. That's it. That's all it says. No mention of the curse, no warning, just associated with deaths. But here's what they don't tell you. The museum staff won't go near that case. Not if they can avoid it. There's an unofficial rotation system. No one guards that room for more than 2 hours at a time, because people report things, sounds, whispers, the feeling of being watched. One guard told a reporter, off the record, that he saw the diamond glow once, at night, when the museum was closed. A faint pink light that pulsed, like breathing. The museum denies this, says it's impossible. Diamonds don't emit light on their own. But the guard quit the next day. And here's what really scares me. The case has a lock, a physical lock that requires a key. But it also has a secondary security measure that most people don't know about. A biometric scanner. Why would a museum case need a biometric scanner? Unless they're not just trying to keep people out. Unless they're trying to keep something in. I reached out to the museum for this video. Asked if I could visit. Film the diamond? Interview the curators? They said no. I asked why. They said, for safety reasons, we do not permit extended filming or handling of specimen D471. Specimen D471, not the pink diamond, not the Golconda diamond. Specimen D471. Like it's a lab sample, like it's something being studied or contained. I asked one more question. Has anyone requested to purchase it recently? The curator paused, then said, we receive inquiries regularly. We decline them all. This diamond is not for sale. It will never be for sale. I asked why. She said, because some things should never be owned. And then she ended the call. I need to tell you something. While researching this video, something happened to me. I've been having dreams, not nightmares. Dreams. I'm in a temple, stone walls, torches, and there's a statue, a goddess with multiple arms, and on her forehead, the diamond. In the dream, I reach for it, and the goddess opens her eyes, and she speaks. She says, it's not a diamond, it's a door. and every death opens it wider. Then I wake up. I've had this dream 11 times in the past month, always the same, word for word. Now I'm a rational person. I know dreams are just our subconscious processing information, nothing supernatural about it. But here's what bothers me. I never told anyone I was researching this diamond. I did it privately, at home, alone. And yet, 3 days after I started, the dreams began. Coincidence, probably. But it made me think. What if Dr. Moreau was right? What if the diamond doesn't just kill the people who touch it? What if it affects anyone who thinks about it too much? Anyone who studies it? Anyone who obsesses over it? What if you don't have to own it to become its victim? What if paying attention to it is enough? I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just being honest. Because if that's true, then everyone who's watched this video, everyone who's thought about the diamond, imagined it, fixated on it for the past 50 minutes, we're all connected to it now. Here's what I believe. I believe there are things in this world that we don't understand. Things that science can't explain yet. Maybe never will. I believe that objects can carry energy, memory, intent. And I believe that the diamond is one of those objects. Is there a demon inside it? Probably not. Is it alive in the way we understand life? Probably not. But is it dangerous? Is it connected to death in a way that defies explanation? Yes. 8 confirmed victims. Dozens more if you count indirect deaths. All connected to one object. One 45-carat pink diamond. The priests warned Amir Hassan. They told him, "This stone belongs to the goddess. Take it, and death will follow you." He didn't listen. None of them listened. And now the diamond sits in a museum, behind glass, waiting. Because curses don't end. They don't fade. They don't forgive. They wait. For the next person who thinks they're special, the next person who doesn't believe, the next person who thinks they can own it without consequence. The next victim. And here's the final twist. The thing that kept me awake last night. Remember Dr. Moreau's journal? The last sentence he wrote before he killed himself? It's not a curse, it's a prison, and we're letting it out. What if he was right? What if the diamond isn't cursed? What if it's a prison? What if something was trapped inside it thousands of years ago? Something powerful, something hungry. And every death, every person who touches it, obsesses over it, dies because of it, feeds it, makes it stronger, opens the prison door just a little bit more. What if we're not dealing with a curse at all? What if we're dealing with something that's trying to escape? And what if, after 300 years of feeding, it's almost free? If you made it this far, you're in the top 5% of viewers. Thank you. Before you go, I need you to do 3 things. First, subscribe. Hit that bell. Because next week I'm covering the princess who was buried alive by her own family. It's a story of betrayal, conspiracy, and a secret the royal family kept hidden for 3 centuries. You don't want to miss it. Second, like this video. The YouTube algorithm looks at likes as a signal of quality content. If this video gets enough likes, it'll be recommended to millions more people. Help me grow this channel. Third, comment below. Tell me, do you believe in cursed objects? Have you ever encountered something that felt wrong? And would you touch the diamond if you had the chance? I read every single comment. I reply to as many as I can. Now here's my final warning. If you ever find yourself in Paris, you can visit the Musée de Minéralogie. You can see the diamond. But here's my advice. Look at it if you want. Appreciate its beauty from a distance. But don't get too close to the glass. Don't stare at it too long. Don't take pictures of it. And whatever you do, don't wish you could own it. Because the diamond is listening. It's always listening. And it's always hungry. My name is Christopher. This is Secrets and Destinations. Thank you for watching. Stay curious. Stay safe. And remember, some treasures are better left buried. Some doors are better left closed. And some diamonds should never be found. Until next time.